This was only brought up as an attack on me.
It was brought
because
up
you were trying to say that. Yeah, exactly. You're trying to say I'm a fake Christian. How's that not going personal, Brian?
Even though you think Trump's not ethical, do you think someone could be ethical in supporting Trump?
I think there's a lot of people that could be fairly ethical people that are ill-informed. I think there's plenty of people out there that could live good lives and be ethical people, but maybe complicit. So yeah, I guess the answer is yes. Here's the people that I have problems with are the people that think that Donald Trump is the next Messiah, that he's a good father, that he's a good husband, that he cares about the American people, that he's America first. If you can admit that Donald Trump is not a good guy and he's done a lot of bad things, but I like some of his policies and these are the policies I didn't like under Kamala Harris, then I can have a conversation with you about that. When Andrew Wilson talks about his Christianity, but yet tells women to lick sniz and calls them and is and by
now
the way,
careful, I'm on YouTube, so be careful with what words.
Okay, well, you can say that on YouTube. You can say that.
Okay,
I'm pretty familiar with YouTube. When he says things like that to people, when he's married to a woman who has 3 baby daddies, then he is a hypocrite.
Wait. Now that I'll take comfort. What does that have shit to do with anything?
So I'll tell you what it has to do with. He preaches about his specific religion. His specific religion is against what his wife has done. So if you're going to preach what he preaches with his religion,
but in what way? That's what I'm asking. In what way is it? In what way is his specific religion against what his wife has done? What do you mean?
My understanding is, based on his religion, from what I've read, is that you shouldn't be having kids with more than one man. That is based on the teachings of his religion. That's my understanding.
What is his religion?
The reason why Roman Catholic, right? I believe, if I'm not mistaken.
No, he's Orthodox.
Orthodox. Okay. What I read and by the way, the reason why he got so upset when that woman brought that up is because it is against what he preaches. That's my understanding. And the way he erupted at her, I thought, said a lot about him. I believe Andrew is a fake Christian. And the reason why I said that is because if you preach Jesus, whatever religion you are in, and you support and don't have a problem with Donald Trump insulting women, insulting POWs, you don't call that stuff out, and you have no problem with it, which clearly Andrew has stated, then I think you're fake, because you couldn't name me one policy that Donald Trump has implemented that's part of Jesus's teaching. So I don't like to get into the religious conversation because I'm not a very religious person myself. I'm also not an atheist. I do believe that there is a higher power, but I don't let that affect the way I vote, and I don't abide by a Bible or a book or a religion to tell me what I should or shouldn't do. And the entire debate, if that's what you would like to call it, was about Andrew's take on abortion. I mean, every single time I brought up something Donald Trump has done, he would retort by saying, well, it's not worse than 600,000 babies being killed. Now, if that's his definition of what abortion is, that's fine. I disagree with him. But that was the entire conversation. That's not what I was there to do. And it was, not really much of a debate.
Now, listen, I was more than happy to, but I have to say this, like, I'm going to be as generous as possible here. Like, the reason that Andrew Wilson got a little upset, I won't even say upset, the reason he got a little hostile when someone brought up his wife is because he's a husband and that's his wife. I would do the same if someone brings up my wife. And furthermore,
I understand that. Okay, I understand what you're saying.
I mean, are you married?
No, but here's an example of.
But if you were, you could understand why you would get defensive about your wife, correct?
But I wouldn't tell somebody to lick schniz. I think that's very immature. It's third grade insult, and I think it speaks to his volume. He has to smoke cigarettes when he does interviews. The way he talks down to people, and by the way, I think it's very insecure when in the middle of a debate or towards the end of it, he said, "I won, Brian. I won." That's, to me, that's like insecure stuff that he always has to prove that he won a debate. Or I just don't talk like that. I have debates with people all the time, people that are far smarter than Andrew, and it went much better than what happened today. Now, he had asked, hey, let's have another debate. Let's talk about policy. Okay, fine. At the end of the interview, he said, I told my girlfriend to kill herself. Now, not only is that not true, but it's like, Why would you even say something like that? That's the way you're going to insult me? I've never spoken to anybody like that in my life. And all I simply said was, you talk about how you're such a religious person and a Christian. Even if someone did attack your wife or a member of your family, your response is to attack somebody for being gay. That's what he did. He called her a. And, I just, that's nonsense. Okay. Listen, I've got into it with Myron Gaines and I've got into it with people on the right, and it's gone into personal insults. And listen, I don't mind doing that, but that's not why I did this debate with Andrew. I thought we could have some substance. When at the end of an interview, you say that I threatened to, or I told a girlfriend to commit. Not only is that not true, it's repulsive. And for him to even make a claim like that is extremely immature on his part, and I was surprised, actually.
Well, maybe that's the case. Did you? I didn't finish the debate. Obviously, you see me reviewing it in real time here now.
It was at the end.
Did you bring up his wife?
Absolutely not.
Okay.
And I told him at the beginning of the interview, I'm not interested in talking.
I did hear that. In fairness, I heard you say that. Nonetheless, right? Like, I'll just say it about all of this. Like, if you'd have brought up his wife, I would have taken a different tact right now. But I'm not. I'm willing to move on from that. I will say that.
No interest.
Okay, so like we don't have a moderator, so I'm fine having this go. We got to have a little of a back and forth though. So let me just say this: the idea generally of someone themselves being a hypocrite or being, in this case, from the concept of a Christian, a sinner. Yes, a Christian would believe that all of us are sinners. And so it's fair for you to say, Andrew, I believe some of the things you're doing would qualify as sins. That's fair. You could bring that up. But it's also true that all Christians ever, with the exception of Christ, though I don't know that you would call him a Christian, I guess it would be a theological interpretation there, have sinned, right? And so like the idea that even that you would bring up his wife in the context here, where you're like, well, she did something that's against their religion. So don't you think that every Christian, even real quick,
I don't care.
Well, I'll get two things though, real quick. You brought it up to me, so clearly you care at some point, and you weren't even correct about what his religion is. But even if you were correct, the idea that she may have done something that's considered a sin, what's the relevance? I don't know why you would bring it up to me.
I brought that up to you because I was talking about the snitch comment and how he erupted and why I brought that up to begin with. I'll be honest with you. I don't care how many men she slept with. I don't care what his family has done. I'm only interested in having a conversation with him. That was not a debate. Now, listen, here's the bottom line. If you're a fan of Andrew Wilson or you're a big Trump supporter, you're going to say that he destroyed me. I dealt with the same stuff with Tim Pool. And then when you have moderates or people that are on my side, they'll say, oh, you owned him. Listen, I've talked to Tim Pool's producers. I've talked to people behind the scenes. They don't care what people say. I don't really care what people say.
That's fair. You don't have to care.
Here's the bottom line. I wasn't there to try to win somebody over. I was there to state my opinions. I don't like Andrew. I think he's a phony person. And I've heard some things about.
Listen. If you want to talk about this stuff, he just called into the show himself. Do you want to talk to him? I won't bring him up if you have a problem with it.
You can bring him up. I certainly didn't appreciate at the end of the show him making a claim about me that was completely false, and it's saying that I what did he say? I told somebody to commit. That's an awful thing to say. Not only is it not true, but it's really an awful thing to say.
Can you guys hear me?
I hear you. Would call him a moron. I think the worst thing I did was call him a moron. I mean, and by the way,
hey, hang on. Brian, the thing is like you started that shit, dude. Come on.
Well, how did I start?
Can you at least admit? Well, you started to dive in. Well, the first thing is that you claimed that I called this woman a whore, and so I brought up that was false. And then near the end, you were talking about an out of context clip, which has been shown all over the internet, which was out of context. Where hang on, let me finish, bro. Hang on. I'll give you a chance, I promise. Okay. The thing is that woman was making false claims, right? She was attacking. She was trying to do a Hail Mary because she had been destroyed in a debate. Okay. And so she did a Hail Mary. And then what happened is they diced that clip up, right? That's what they did. They diced it all up, sent it out, right? In order to have a Zerg on me. When you attempt to go personal with me, then I'll do the same thing. But I don't like doing that, bro. I'd have a debate with you the entire time and never bring up anything about that stuff. But Andrew, you can't do that first and then cry foul.
Okay, so Andrew, Whether
Yeah.
you think it was out of context or not, you did not react in a way that an adult would react. You could have said, hey, what you're saying about me is not true, and here's why. Instead, you proceeded to call. You said she licked sniz. By the way, I don't think there's anything wrong with that, whether you're straight or gay. So that's really a weird insult. You should try it sometime, Andrew. And number three, I'm sure your wife would like it. Number three, when you say something that is blatant,
see what I mean? Yeah, like, hang on. Do you see what I mean? Do you see what I mean by trying immediately to first?
Andrew,
Okay.
Yeah.
Andrew,
Andrew, leave him finish, but you're gonna go ahead,
down,
Brian.
Andrew.
Go ahead.
Andrew,
Yeah, see what I mean?
that was a joke. That was meant for levity. I'm sure you've done it before, and I'm sure you have a great your wife. And by the way, I don't care about your sex life. It was a joke. Okay, calm down.
Okay.
Number three.
Yeah, I know.
This is something that's
fine
not
for you to
joke,
do that.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
I know people that have committed. Last year,
Yeah, so do I.
somebody that I went to high school with, who I was very close with, committed. So I'm very
Well, it sounds to me like you just have a double standard, that you just saying rules for me.
Andrew.
Well, hang on,
Andrew.
Brian. I just listened to what you said. Can you
No, you
respond?
gave me 8 seconds. I made a joke. You got offended. You interrupted me, and you gave me 8 seconds to respond. No, you didn't.
Andrew,
leave him
finish. Brian,
I thought I did.
Wrap up, Brian. Like 30 seconds. Wrap up, and then we'll give Andrew
20 seconds.
Okay.
Okay, that's 8 seconds longer than Donald Trump lasted with Stormy Daniels, Andrew. That's another joke, by the way. I never have ever told anybody to. I take that very personally. Now, if you think I took something out of context with the schniz comment, okay, fine, we can talk about that. But I would never lie and say something like that about you. It was inappropriate, it was wrong, and you should admit that you were wrong in doing so.
I'll tell you what. If you want to act like adults, let's act like adults. How about this? How about you apologize and I'll apologize? How's that?
And just so I'm aware, because I just want to, what do you want me to apologize for again?
Well, because you, near the end of that debate, you started to try to dig into things out of the context of the debate to attack me with it.
Can I ask you about that? You did tell her to lick schniz. Did I misquote you?
Let's just say I was guilty of everything. Okay. What did that have to do with the debate?
Okay, I'll answer that. You're a man of Christ. You're a religious man. That doesn't mean that you're perfect. I understand that. But I don't believe, without getting into a deep dive into religion, that anybody would say that a Christian talked to a woman that way, regardless of the way. You should be the bigger man, regardless of what. Now, I agree.
But what does that have to do with the debate? But what does that have to do with the debate? The debate's not whether or not Andrew Wilson, if Andrew Wilson is a good Christian or not.
Okay. Well, almost the whole debate was about your beliefs, Christianity, and why you're against abortion and all these other things. So that's not being a good Christian. I'm not a religious person, but when you attack a woman for being gay, which is exactly what you did, you called her, which I think is beneath you to do that. I don't think you acted appropriately. Now, I didn't take anything out of context. I'm quoting you. That's what you said.
Well, wait a second. Hang on. This was only brought up as an attack on me. That's it. Well, it's the only reason you brought it up.
It was brought
because you were trying to say that. Yeah, exactly. Because you're trying to say I'm a fake Christian. How's that not going personal, Brian?
So the whole conversation is about our personal beliefs.
And but what you're doing by saying that I'm a fake Christian, it's the most personalized thing you can do. And then you're trying to use this as an example. It's a personal attack, dude. So when you get personal, I get personal back. But here's the thing. I didn't do that the entire debate until you did. So I'll tell you what, if you apologize for that, I'll apologize back. We can put it behind us. Doesn't that seem fair?
But by the way, when the debate started, I said I did not want the debate to go that way. That was not my objective.
Well, I don't know why you did that, Ben. I didn't do it to you. You did it to me.
I think part of it was a little bit of frustration because I think there was some miscommunication, not with you, but with your moderator. See, Andrew, this is why I don't like having moderators in a third person. It should have been a direct conversation before you and I debated. And that's why I asked for your phone number so I could have a conversation with you so that next time if we do this, that doesn't happen anymore. There's no miscommunication. We know exactly
what we'll do. I'll tell you what we can do next time.
Does that make sense?
Yes, it does. I still want to have a moderator, but the three of us can discuss what the topic will be before we actually do the debate. That seems
Can I
fair.
ask you respectfully, why do you need a moderator? I mean, I've been doing this for 20 years. I've never had moderators.
Well, that's because you mute people and scream at them.
No, you're wrong. I see again. This is what gets me upset.
No, Brian, I'll send you the clip. I can send you the clip.
Andrew, I need you to listen. I do this
Okay.
with callers. There is a big difference between a caller who calls into my show and a guest.
Yeah.
When you're on my show, I've had everybody. Robert F. Kennedy Jr., Caroline Levitt, Vivek Ramaswamy. You've had big guests as well. I never have muted them. The only times I mute people or pod people down are people that call into my show that are not invited guests. And if they say something stupid, yes, I'll pod them down.
The only reason a person wouldn't want a moderator is because they're afraid that they're going to have to follow some rules of decorum of debate.
Okay.
That's the only reason a person wouldn't want one.
If I can, real quick, if I could try to maybe bridge the gap here.
Hang on. Real quick before you do, Rob, I just want to know, because this is again moving to somewhere else. You were trying to make this personalized about me first, right? And then I fired back. We've now agreed that that's true. Why not just give me an apology? I'll do the same thing. We put it behind us.
Okay. So I apologize if you feel like I was getting personal with you. That was not my objective, and hopefully that wasn't yours either. And then we can leave it at that.
Then I apologize that you felt that way as well.
Okay. Just so you know, for the record, though, a lot of people say things on social media about you that are not true. It gets larger as mine does. A lot of people say things about me. I don't really pay attention to it because I don't want to give them any clout because I don't care.
Yeah, I understand.
I care about what
I understand. And we never, ever even have to discuss it again, Brian. As long as you don't try to make personal attacks, I won't either. I'm there for the ideas.
No. Yeah, I want to have a debate where, going into this debate, my idea of what we were going to talk about was apparently very different than what Jake thought we were going to talk about.
How about this for a compromise? If the problem with the moderator, because I think you would agree with this, Jake was a fair moderator other than the confusion about the topic. So in order to give Andrew what he wants, which is a moderator just to make sure both sides are getting sort of not talking over each other, what if you said that you two will set up exactly word for word what will be said? You will have input on what the title would be and everything like that before the debate, and the moderator will just be there, have no connection whatsoever to what the topic of the debate is, just to make sure that people aren't talking. Would that be fair?
Totally fair. Yeah, totally
probably
fair.
I mean, I'm part of the Unfuck America tour. I know you're debating Myron. I just debated him in DC a few weeks ago, and I know Adam Mockler is going to be there in Destiny. I will be there in Phoenix, but we don't have to do it in person. We can do it. The only issue that I had today, and that's not your fault, but I wasn't able to go on my platforms live, which sucks. So
we'll make sure that you can. Yeah, we'll make sure you can do that too.
That'd be great. And obviously, I'm also Andrew, and you didn't know this. It's not your fault. But I'm live on the radio also. I'm on an FM AM station, and there were a lot of swears. So
that won't happen again. That won't happen again. Either.
Yeah, and then I'm happy to do it again. On it to be personal. I just want to have. I mean, I would like to have a debate on why I believe Donald Trump is bad for the country, and then you could give me your retort on why you think he was the best.
Now see, I'm fine with that. We can lock that in right now.
Andrew, I thought that's what we were going to do today. That's the truth.
You're going to build a case for why you think Donald Trump is bad and his policies are bad for the country, and I'll build a case for why I think his policies are good for the country.
Yeah, and I think that would be a good conversation, and I'm happy to do that.